This is an hour. And then since you're oh I was gonna say you can watch this. Let me know when we're
Yeah.
done. Okay, cool.
That's my Boggle 1 minute timer.
Awesome.
All right. So this is the Dedlie Hour. Uh, I'm Blake Dedlie.
Hey
Take it.
Blake.
Hey, how's it going, Blake?
Good.
So I asked you if I could interview you. I've
Yeah.
known you for a while, and I've watched probably like 80% of the podcasts that go up,
Nice.
and I'm
Thank you.
like, I'm pretty sure I haven't missed one where they interviewed you, right? That hasn't happened.
Yeah, that hasn't happened.
Okay.
I think I was gonna do it at like the 50th episode or 100th, and we're like on episode 35.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. So I'm honored that you're okay with me trying to interview
No,
you.
heck yeah. I'm honored you even asked.
Okay. So how you been? How's the hair?
The hair's good. I haven't gotten a haircut in over a year
Cool.
because of the pandemic.
Cool.
I seriously got a haircut when Bernie Sanders was still in the race.
That's a while
I
now.
remember that because I remember some guy in there was like talking about how we should go for Biden and not Bernie.
Yeah.
And
It's like take it for the team or something like that.
yeah, something like that. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then that's the last time. I'm
So
gonna get a haircut soon.
you're already a tall person. Do you think
Yeah.
that the hair makes you like look even taller?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm also going bald too, so maybe it's maybe that adds a little something to it.
We were
I
just
don't know.
I was talking to Jane about how like tall people, if they make themselves look even taller, maybe that's a dick move. Like
Like in a
Frankenstein.
mohawk or something.
Yeah, like Mohawk or Frankenstein having platforms or
Yeah.
something.
Why
Uh,
does he have those, by the way?
I don't know. Maybe you were buried with platform shoes back then.
Yeah.
So how's the vaccine shots? Have you got one?
I've gotten one. I'm getting my last one tomorrow.
Cool. Have you had any
So
like a sort of effect or anything like that, like
no,
side
just
effects?
a numb arm. That
Yeah.
was it. It's just a numb arm. I was cool. Um, yeah, what about you? I know you're
I've got both.
fully vaccinated.
Yeah, it's been over 10 days with the Pfizer. I think it's over 7 days and you're fine.
Okay.
So so yesterday I went to Krispy Kreme to get my free donut.
I didn't know you could do that.
If you have your vaccine card, you get a free donut.
Oh, awesome.
The downside is it's only a glazed.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I
don't
don't like
rush,
Krispy
don't
Kreme.
rush, don't rush to get your vaccine. So
I'm not the biggest fan
yeah.
of Krispy
So
Kreme.
how's your comfort level? Like
What do you mean?
like with everything going on in the pandemic and you've got a shot. I mean, are you getting takeout? You're not getting takeout? Are you going to
No,
public places, avoiding malls or anything like that?
so my girlfriend has a father who is in his 70s,
Mhm.
and he is actually pretty ill as well. He's going to the hospital almost every week. Doing good, but we
This
are
because of Corona or just
no, it's completely something else.
okay?
And so we actually do takeout. We're taking this super seriously. We don't want to affect him because we take him to the hospital at least once we get her and her siblings take him. So we're being super cautious, super safe. We don't go out to public at all. We did actually for the first time since her birthday in November before the lockdown. We went to a bar in Burbank where there's only like four tables and they're all
Mhm.
spread out,
Mhm.
and it's outside, of course. And that was nice. That was
Yeah.
nice to do. Yeah. So she has um, one shot as well, and then her mom has one shot, and her father needs to wait to get his shot, and he's getting it next week, this upcoming week. So once he's good, then we're gonna start going out more, and then maybe even go to Disneyland possibly
Oh
when that
wow.
opens up. I
Yeah.
can't wait to go. I love Disneyland so much. So
That's
and Universal Studios. I'm not like a Disney freak.
hmm
I just love theme parks.
yeah.
Universal, Disneyland, it's all
Well,
good to me.
what about Magic Mountain?
I can't do roller coasters because I have crazy vertigo.
Yeah,
So
me
it
too.
oh really?
Yeah, like I get sick pretty easily. Well, Jane's tough, and Jane's like, "What's the matter with you?"
Oh, because she could do all those.
Yeah, she loves roller coasters.
Oh
But
man.
I think some people, Magic Mountain's open now, and it's more outdoors. So I think my brother's taking his kids like for Easter tomorrow to Magic Mountain.
Oh shoot, really?
Yeah.
Oh, great. That's the
Just throwing it
vaccine
out there.
site. No, that's the vaccine site where I go to is at Magic Mountain.
What?
So I'm going there tomorrow, and you're telling me it's open. So there's going
It's
to be
been
like,
open. It's been open.
oh, okay, great.
Um,
Well,
okay,
looking
so
forward to the traffic.
how has the pandemic affected you as a musician and as in Twisted Black Soul? And
That's
and
a
I wrote some questions, so hopefully
no,
that
sure.
okay, yeah.
No, that's a good question. Well, there's a little bit of a caveat I have to throw in there.
Hmm.
And I hate to be a bummer, but this is something that did happen in 2020. My mother passed away in January of 2020. And I was, of course, grieving and everything like that. And then the lockdown happened. And so musically, Jorge, I'll call him Jorge and I just jammed for like well, funny enough, I was starting to see a grief therapist,
Hmm.
and I told her that I was a musician, and we started talking about music. She was like really into like punk rock in the '80s. I'm like, oh, great. So
Cool.
we talked a lot, and she was all like you have to do music. You have to do music for yourself. And so I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go see Jorge. I know he has parents at home, so he needs to also be safe. So we made a deal. It's like, okay, we're gonna see each other weekly. Let's tell each other if we see, other people or whatever.
Hmm.
And so we actually just jammed for like 2 3 months, just jammed, and then not even worried about songs, not even playing our old stuff, just improvising. It was great, a lot of fun. And then through those improvisations, we wrote a shit ton of music. Some of them are good, some not so good, but we have like two complete, like really good songs, we think. So I'm happy about that. We have some other songs where we're like, fuck, we need a bass player for this, or it just doesn't feel full with just like a two-piece band. So we're just playing those two right now until we get a third member.
So that's cool. Like during, lockdown, you still had a creative outlet and to go through everything that was happening too.
Yeah, yeah. So that was actually really nice. It was nice that we had that,
Yeah.
and it kind of worked, I guess, that there was only two of us in the band, so we get only two of us to worry about.
Yeah. So also, during this time, you've been involved in a lot of projects that I want to talk about. There's a lot of different projects I want to talk to you about, but
Sure.
I kind of want to know your musician origin story.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
what was your first instrument drums?
No, it was actually guitar.
Okay.
Um,
How old were you?
so I was 16, or was I? Yeah, I was 16 years old.
Mhm.
So, God, I grew up listening to Rush and from my dad, and then classical music from my mom. And then I got really into Weird Al Yankovic. My cousin and I really got into Weird Al.
Uh-huh.
And then we wanted to make a comedy band, the first rock and roll comedy band. Little did we know that Ween existed at the time, but we were
Spinal
thinking,
Tap?
we had no idea. I don't
Yeah.
think we even knew about Spinal Tap either. Like we were just like, oh, we should make a comedy band. Kind of like Weird Al was more parody. We're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna do rock and roll, but it's gonna be funny. And so we started a band called the Christmas Scare. We wanted to start a band called the Christmas Scarelers. So, and it was,
Wait, I can't understand the second word. The Christmas
oh,
what?
Scarelers, like
Scare.
carolers,
Okay. All right.
Christmas Scarelers. So this is in high school. It's my three cousins, Mark Allen, Alan, and Daniel. And but Mark Allen and I were really the ones that wanted to get this started. So we all wanted to get instruments, and the three of them all got instruments except for me because we were a little poorer back then. And so my father's like, sorry, like if you want a guitar, you're gonna have to, you know, work and buy one.
Mhm.
So I got a job. He got me a job, which was really great of him. He got me a job working at Warner Brothers of all places.
Wow.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
And literally my first paycheck, I bought a guitar.
That's pretty rock
Um,
and roll.
yeah, I worked
Yeah.
hard for that guitar, and and then we started a band, and then we changed the name later on to Dr. Caligari because
Okay.
we didn't like Chris, or the other two I think didn't like the Christmas carolers
And
because probably no one understood what the third word was.
yeah, it's like the Oneaters or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly.
And then I heard in another podcast where that band Doctor
Dr. Caligari, yeah.
there's already another band with that name. So
Yeah, there is because that's the name of the movie,
oh,
The
okay.
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and it's spelled with a C,
Mhm.
but we were spelled with a K because we're cool.
Yeah.
But that other band, they're like from Sweden or something. They had it with a C, or they might be German actually.
Does oh, I don't want to. All right, I'm gonna skip that question. I wanted to reference
Oh no, yeah,
a
sure,
cousin of yours I went to high school with. I don't want to say his name, but
that's fine. You can say his first name,
yeah,
but I know who you're
Mike.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
How does Mike fit into your story of learning music?
Oh, that's interesting. So growing up, I think it was just more influence. He's 8 years older than me, so and he has an older brother who's 2 years older than him, and that brother was really into like Depeche Mode and like that other band, Seagulls. Everyone had that haircut.
Flock of Seagulls?
Flock of Seagulls. He had that flock.
Probably the Cure and
The
more and
Cure,
Smiths.
all that
Yeah.
more, yeah, the Smiths, all that stuff. He was all into that, and I couldn't get into that music at the time. I have an
Yeah.
appreciation for it now, but back then I was like, no. And then Michael was really into Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, all that, Pearl Jam, all that other stuff, and that was what I tended to like more. He had all those albums, and I fell in love with it.
Mike got me into metal. So
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
I would hang out with Mike. He was like a group of musicians that hung out at school, and afterwards we'd go to a friend's house and we just play like Misfits and Slayer and like No Effects stuff.
yeah,
So they
dope.
introduced me to all that. So yeah, I was like trying to do
That's funny.
Sepultura and on drums. It was ridiculous.
You were a drummer first, right?
I learned drums and guitar kind of at the same
At
time.
the same time. Okay.
Yeah, but I was primarily in bands as a drummer for the first couple of years.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Um, so let's see. I was gonna ask what were some of the first bands you were in, but I want to find out how Mango enters the story.
Oh man, that's yeah, good question. So for those who don't know, Luis is my uncle. Um, and um, and he's 10 years older than me, I think. And so we grew up, obviously big age difference from being like, 10, he's like 20 years old, so
Hmm.
totally different outlooks on life. And I think around the time I was 8 or 9 or 10, he left LA, moved up north to Bay Area, lived his life for 10 years. And I had always heard about him, seen him. And what's funny is that people always told me that like I reminded them of him in
Hmm.
some way, which I didn't understand at the time. And so there was always this mystique about Luis, the uncle who left, you know, because I remember him as a young kid, of course, growing up. We saw him and his sister a lot, but anyways, and he was gone. So he comes back, and this is during the MySpace area. He said like, "Hey, I'm playing a show at some bar." He was just playing a solo show, and I was like, you know what, I'd love to see him. I was, I think, 24, 25, 24,
Hmm.
and I went over to see him. 24, went over to see him perform, and had his lovely girlfriend there. My aunt was there, who I see all the time. She's still here, and I was like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And we talked, and then he invited me to see a show,
Hmm.
and we went to see a show. Oh, I should paraphrase. I've seen him throughout the years here and there for like different occasions, and he had saw me perform with my cousins. We had like jammed together,
Hmm.
and so Luis saw that I had like some kind of chops, And so when we went to that show later on, at the show that he invited me to, he said, "Hey, we should jam. We should just. I know you play drums. Let's do something." So I'm like, "All right," and that's literally how it happened. I showed him some songs that I had written, and he loved him, and then we were like, all right, let's keep going. He showed me songs and I could jam to those, and that's like that was it. And we were the Red Penguins for a while. That was our
The
first name
what? Why the Red Penguins?
because a red penguin is a dead penguin. And we just thought that that was funny.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How does Maria Bamford enter this story? Because
Oh
I'm
man. So yeah, that is a weird
because
story.
we're
So
yeah, I'm a fan of Maria Bamford. She's
I
great.
love Maria
Yeah.
Bamford. I know. Luis, no, Luis just happened to go. I think he just saw on, I think it was MySpace at the time, that she was performing in Highland Park
Mm,
and just doing like, just working out material, and she had like the sing along thing too that she was also trying to start up
mm,
um, at just a cafe shop in Highland Park, I guess just right around the corner from where she was living. And then she came over, and then I guess she was still trying to figure it out. And Luis could tell that like there was a lot of lull in between the acts.
mhm,
And so he went up to her and was like, "Hey, do you need a band to like kind of like play in between while the different people like kind of come in and come out?" And
mm.
she was like, "And since it's a sing along, it'll kind of work with the whole music thing." And she was like, "Yeah, I'd love it." And so he called me. He was like, "Hey, you know Maria Bamford?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like I was obsessed with the what is it, the Comedians of Comedy? I think it was
Probably.
called with like Zach Galifianakis and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
anyways, whatever she was in, I was like, yeah, no, I love Maria Bamford. That was one of my favorite like comedy things at the time. And he's like, yeah, like she wants us to play for this, so we went to those shows and just like played covers, and she would ask us to play certain songs, and so we would just like learn them like a couple days before, and then just play them in between some of the acts. So
So how long did that last?
I want to say like 9 months, maybe.
What?
Yeah, it was like I mean, she didn't do it all the time. It was like maybe once a month, every other month sometimes. So it wasn't
Mm,
a lot, but it was still like 1 month she'd do it, another month she'd do it. Maybe she'd take a break like for December, and then she'd come back in January.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Did you get to talk to her, or how's she
Yeah,
like?
yeah. Yeah, we talked a little bit. She was like very like she was like, "Hey guys, great job tonight," and then we say a little thing here or there. My
Yeah.
favorite thing though, she had us do Christina Aguilera's song, and it
Oh,
was just
Genie in a bottle?
no, it was another song. I can't remember this. She collaborated with somebody from I think the Black Eyed Peas. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
It was a song that like I heard once on the radio, and that was it. And I just remember it was so ridiculous that like I remember seeing her. It was obvious that we were just like kind of having fun and just like making fun of the song, and she was laughing like
Oh,
it was great to see her laugh at that. I was like, yeah, I
yeah.
made Maria Bamford laugh. That was
Yeah.
great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so how did Twisted Black Soul start? Because I feel it must have grown out of Mango, right?
It sort of did, yeah. So actually, yeah, it definitely did. So we were playing a show well, I had always wanted to start a show where I play guitar, or excuse me, start a band where I play guitar,
Mm,
and be the lead vocals because I just had so much music that I was writing that I wanted to do a little more like sort of weird stuff. Like sometimes I'd introduce a song to Luis, and then Luis would be like, I don't know, that's a little too like out there, which is fine. And I was like, yeah, it's not Mango Napalm. But I was like, okay, so maybe this is I always had that in the background. So Mango Napalm played a show in I can't even remember where, somewhere east, like far east, the Middle East. No, I'm kidding. No, Colton, I think it's called. I can't remember.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. You see that like on the 10, and then
yes, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Some random ass bar that we played at, and with a lot of like bros there. Anyways, before the show, I live up in the mountains in Glassell Park, and we have stairs to the driveway. And so I have to lug all of our drum equipment down those stairs, up and down, every time we have a gig. And one day I was holding the drum set wrong, and like I tripped and I fell and I landed right on my foot, and I fucked up the sole of my foot. Uh, Hence the Twisted Black Soul is kind of
Ah,
where that comes from.
uh-huh.
So I fucked it up, and 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 they
So
were like, "Can you still play the gig?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I just can't play, use the bass drum, but yeah, I'll still play the, I'll just use the floor tom or and for that we'll figure it out." So we go over there, and I'm on crutches. We had crutches because I couldn't walk on my foot. I had actually like I think I don't
well,
know if I fractured it. I think I had a small fracture. I don't remember what happened.
wait,
I had to go to the hospital the next
was this
day.
on the way to that show that you
Yeah, this is
broke
on the way to that show.
and you got crutches immediately?
Yeah, we already had crutches. I had
Okay.
like sprained my freaking ankle so many times.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so we already had. And my father hurt himself, I think, too. We just have crutches in the
We're
garage.
a crutches family.
We're a crutches family. Yeah, we're tall, we're clumsy. Uh, so so we had crutches. So we go play the gig, and like I'm walking in, and we're just stared at super hard from everybody. Like everyone's like mad dogging me for some reason because I'm on these crutches and we're bringing this equipment in. And everyone's just like, who the fuck are these guys, And funny enough, there was supposed to be three bands that played. One band bailed. And so we opened, and then the other band played. And then when the other band didn't show up, they were like, hey, can you guys play again? So we ended up playing two slots
Wait,
that night.
can I just say that'd be a great idea if a band comes and every one of them has like wheelchair, like crutches, and they all have something and they sit down to play.
Yeah, that would
Anyways.
be. They're like, wait, what kind of show is this? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, so anyway, so long story short, so we're done with we actually play a great, it's a great set, great two sets. We did a good job. I figured it out. It was a lot of fun. And afterwards, we're actually getting praise from some of the guys. One of the guys, I don't know why, but one of the guys was like, "Hey man, I thought you guys were great." And like, dude, when you guys walked in, I thought you guys were gonna play some nerd rock. And I was like, what does that mean? And I don't know, it was just like so weird to me. What is that?
Maybe I'm nerd rock. I don't know.
No,
No, you
no,
aren't
you're
then.
not nerd rock. I don't even know what nerd rock. To me, nerd rock is more like Rush, like that kind of
Yeah,
like
probably.
yeah. So I was like, okay, nerd rock. I don't know. And he's like, yeah, I thought you guys were like a lot heavier than that. Like it was awesome. And I wasn't offended, but I was like, I wish that like there was a band where you couldn't see the person's face
Mhm.
and like you could just like judge the music just for the music. I know that's impossible, but like what if you could? And that's why I wear the mask, or in the beginning would just wear a black mask and then just play music so that no one could tell what I look like. They had no perceived, like they couldn't tell my race, they couldn't see what my face looked like. That was just it. And then they could just judge the music for what the music is.
But I want to say in the early days of Twisted Black Soul, your voice would give an impression too.
What do you mean?
In between songs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was also part of it. That's right. I would do a gay voice
Yeah.
because like people would not expect a gay voice to come out like after like screaming,
Yeah.
whatever song we would play, and they'd be like, okay guys, so we just thought that.
That's a way to inform the audience of, who you are or a red herring or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And kind of it is a little intimidating to like see somebody, well, like 6'5" guy walk in with a black mask over their face. So I did also do it to kind of appease people.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where the name came from, and
For the
that's
Yeah.
where the band name came from. That's where the mask kind of came from. But what about
Mhm.
actually like I should do this? Like I need to express this. Like where did that come from, or when did that happen?
I think it actually happened getting to know Jorge and Ill Audio. I'll use their names. So they were in a band, best bands in the world. I honestly mean that. Decision Incision. There are a few bands
Mm.
that I hold up there, and I do hold the Black Hearttrobs up there. Black Hearttrobs, the Atols, and Decision Incision are some of the best, and Brain Fragment for me are some of the best bands out there
Mm.
right now. Well, unfortunately, Decision Incision is no more, but I fucking love Decision Incision, which is funny. I saw them with you the first time I saw with you guys.
Yeah, I remember. I think
Yeah.
Vince was the one like, "Oh, you gotta see this band," and they had that song about I think being drunk or something or not.
Yeah, yeah.
No, the Hide Your Kid, Hide Your Wife.
Oh, right, right.
That was like the big song back then.
Right. I remember I thought uh I remember you saying they had a big crowd that night too for some reason. And you guys were like, "Are you guys ready for decision coming up?" And everyone was like, "Woo!" And I was like, "Who the heck are these guys?" Like, I was so impressed. And funny enough, I'll tell a quick story about Decision Incision.
Yeah.
Um, Ismail saw Mango Napalm perform, and he was all like, "Oh my god, like I loved you guys. Like you got to see our band. We're kind of similar, but not quite. But like we totally get your vibe. Like you just got to come see us." I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." So we go see them, and the first song was honestly like one of the best songs that I had seen. I was like, "Wow, this is great." And then the second song was like freaking lame, and I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe they just have one good song."
Uh-huh.
And then the third song was freaking great. And I was like, oh, okay, like maybe that second song would just kind of suck. And then the fourth song was lame. And I'm like, okay, what's going on
Well, it's like three different songwriters, you know?
here? Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
anyways, so getting to know them, um, Ismail also talked about like he wanted to be in more bands, and Eladio said that he'd be down to like for anything. And I was like, you know what? Let's start a band. Let's start a new band. So that's how the three of us started. It was just really getting to know them and talking to them more, and Ismail wanting to start new projects, be in new projects. So I was like, hey, I got a project. Let's do it.
Okay, so cool. Yep, you have these ideas in your head and you met like a cool bunch of different people.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, how does Twisted Black Soul write songs? Because I feel there's been so many members over the years, and I'm wondering if they contribute a lot, or it's mainly like you, and then they sing what you wrote, or does Jorge write some, you know?
Yeah. It's mostly me.
Mhm.
What's nice is that I have some weird gift where I hear songs, sometimes fully complete, or sometimes hear a riff and I'll be like, hey, let's try this. Sometimes I'll hear the song is completely done in my head and I'll be like, okay, here's what it is. We've collabed a little bit. I feel like we should more, but we've collaborated a little bit here and there. Like the 3 a.m. song, Ismail pretty much wrote the lyrics, kind of wrote the melody of it, and I wrote the what do you call it? Um, yeah, some of the some of the riffs, some of the guitar riffs, based on like the way he was singing it. So that was like a true collaboration with that song, and which I should take the hint. That's one of our like a lot of people really tend to like that song a lot. So
Is
we
that the
should do
one?
more collaborations. But
Is that the one
what's
that's
that?
in Spanish?
Yeah, that's the one.
No quiero respirar or whatever it is.
Quiero yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you mainly?
he,
Oh, I was gonna
yeah,
say, do you mainly write with the guitar? Is that where it first starts?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where it starts.
Cool. Uh do you write songs like the germ of songs when you just meet up with other musicians, or you do like set aside time, or just wait till it kind of hits you like inspiration, or do you keep a
Reese,
journal?
yeah, I do have. I have on my phone is on like my journal. I'll think of like riffs. I'll go to my guitar and like try and play it or try and figure it out, and then just record that, and then I'll hear it over and over, and I'll kind of make adjustments, and then I'll bring that to Jorge. But then sometimes, but recently, because we've been jamming, we've actually been working out songs together now, which is really nice.
Hmm.
And I'll hear something like sometimes I'll listen back to our jams. We record all of our jam sessions, and I'll listen to something and be like, oh, that's good. Like, let me bring this like next week, and I have now a chorus with that riff now for or whatever. And so we'll work on that now. And so that's been a lot of fun. And in the past, I would even tell Ismail what to do on the drums, but now he does whatever he wants. We're so in sync. I feel that he knows what to do.
Does he ever say like, "Don't tell me what to do"?
Well, yeah, that's also yeah. That was actually the first
Like,
few things he did.
yeah, it's like I'm here to show off what I bring, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know at the time. I was like, this
Yeah.
is my project. Like I wanna. This is my vision.
Yeah, no, I know. I think I've sort of done that with Jane, where you have, because you're a drummer and a guitarist, and I used to
Yeah.
play drums too, so I have these thoughts in my
Right.
head,
Right. Right. Right.
and then but then you're really like, I don't know. I feel like songs are always better if it's not just like me. It's like
Yeah.
something else you didn't even think of comes in. So,
No, definitely.
um, so what are some of your musical influences
Um,
besides
yeah,
Rush or starting off? But like, what influences you and Twisted Black Soul music?
man, I'd say in a weird, and I guess not in a weird way, Mr. Bungle is one band that like I just love. When I first heard, I couldn't stop listening to them
Hmm.
at the tender age of 17. I first heard them. Mr. Bungle, like all of Mike Patton's stuff, I got really hard into. Phantom Us. I don't feel like we sound anything like them, but I just
Like the spirit
like
of them?
yeah, the spirit of them, their type of energy.
Yeah.
Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum is another band that's also kind of a big influence. Again, we don't sound anything like them, but like they all wear like makeup and have these like elaborate costumes that they wear sometimes. Um, they were also a big influence.
Are there any like sort of costume bands you don't like? I mean, like,
I
I
don't
think
like Slipknot.
yeah,
I don't like I'm just not a fan. I don't think that they're terrible, but I'm just
yeah,
not a fan. I don't like Ghost either.
yeah. I was gonna ask about Ghost.
Yeah, I don't like Ghost.
What about like Gore or even Kiss? You know?
I do like, you know what? I didn't like Kiss growing up, and I do now. I have a more appreciation for them. There's some bands, I don't know why, I couldn't I didn't get when I was younger.
Oh,
And then
definitely.
actually listening to Mr. Bungle like opened my mind to like
Yeah.
more like I didn't even like rap or hip hop until I listened to Mr. Bungle, which is not rap or hip hop, but I was able to appreciate rap and hip hop after that for some reason.
Yeah. It always takes like a certain time, certain mind frames for something to like hit you and make sense.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like Nirvana or David Bowie and stuff like that. It just took a
Oh,
while.
really? I didn't like David Bowie either.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
because you don't, I don't know, I just couldn't get it. I'm like, this sounds like nothing I listened to. Like,
Yeah.
what's so good about this?
Right, exactly. I think it was Fame when I remember being like 14 or something, yeah, freshman in high school and hearing Fame being like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense.
I remember hearing Spiders from Mars. I'm like, what's this guy
Oh
singing
yeah.
about?
Yeah.
You know, like, oh. I don't really like Kiss, but I think I need to come around to that. But yeah, I actually
No,
saw
they're
yeah,
cool.
yeah, they're cool. They're cool. I'll come around to that.
Yeah.
Uh so I want to ask about why it's so hard to find your music. Like
Oh, well
like
that
I was gonna get ready for this. I'm like, oh, let me listen to their stuff again. I'm like, actually, I think I lost the CD.
yeah.
Let me find their stuff online. It's like not on Spotify, and there's one song on Bandcamp. There's some songs on your website, which is from SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So why is it so difficult?
That we had to take our music off
Okay.
for of all of our streaming platforms for a particular reason,
Oh,
which we don't
okay.
have to get into.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
Okay.
you know what? That's actually that's on me. I've been so busy with the show and other stuff. Jorge actually just sent me he needed to send me the masters again songs, so I got to put it all. It's all going to go back. We
Yeah.
had to take everything off because there are certain songs from a certain member that
Sure.
wrote, and they didn't want us to have those songs on there. And we thought we could just take those songs off, but apparently you have to take all of them off.
Oh, and then like
That's not
re
the and
yeah.
just re-upload the ones that we wrote. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, a lot of your music is up on in video format. I mean, you've posted up a lot of
yeah,
videos.
yeah, and that's really. I mean, I feel like we are super visual, so I definitely want more people to visit our YouTube. I feel like that would be our main page.
Yeah, you've
I,
got a lot of videos, like 80 or 90 or something.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
we're trying to do one every week, even if it's going to be like a dumb, silly 1 minute video. We want to do a video every week of something.
that's ambitious. I mean, I think during the pandemic, Jane and I were like, we're gonna do one a month, and we couldn't do that. Um,
No, but you guys are killing it with the song. Like I love the music videos for the festivals.
it would not happen if we're no if that wasn't around. You know,
Oh wow.
that gives us a deadline to actually do something, because or else we just get takeout and watch TV or something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that, but I'll touch on that later. But I want to know about your film background because I know you have a film background, but it's
Yeah,
all
I
very
do.
vague in my head of
No,
of
sure. No, that's what I grew up. Music was going to be a hobby
mm,
at the time. Um, like I never, I just like playing music with my cousins, you know.
mhm,
So I never had big ambitions. I was going to be a filmmaker,
mhm.
and it was great because my father worked at Fox when Fox was a thing, 20th Century Fox at the time, and he knew people. He worked for all the big Hollywood companies, and so there was like a network of people. So he got me a job at Warner Brothers, and because he knew I wanted to work in film. I was an actor in high school. I did all the drama stuff, and
Mhm.
I actually thought for a short time that I was going to be an actor. Uh, I just like the drama a lot, but I was like, I'm not that vain of a person, you know, to like, there was like real actors that wanted to like be like, you know, some that like the craft and some that just like were like really into themselves. Some actually were on TV on some of the Disney Channel
Oh yeah.
stuff because I went to school in Burbank, and you know, that's all fine if that's what you want to do. But I uh, loved how my director directed, and I loved his style and everything like that. And I was like, okay, I want to be a director. So I went to film school
Mhm.
right after high school. I was going to work in film, and then he also worked in film too at the time, and he actually worked in soft core
Oh.
pornography. And he's like, "Hey, do you like to come watch me do watch us do software?" It's basically they are shot like real films. It's like any Skinemax, you
Mhm.
know, movie, you know, where like the sex scenes are like, you know, only a few minutes and like an hour and 10-minute movie, you know.
Mhm.
And I was like, sure. So I worked with him on a couple movies,
Wow.
and it was fun. And I worked on some other things after that, and I hated it. Everyone's real shitty. Everyone like
The
it kind of sucked.
the crew. Okay.
The crew really sucks. It's not everyone in the crews. Oh, you know, some people were nice, but I don't know. I had a hard time working there. I realized it wasn't for me, unfortunately.
Do you think you want to keep pursuing this? I mean, I feel like now you don't probably don't need such a big crew nowadays with the.
No, well, that's what's so great about YouTube. We didn't have YouTube. I didn't have
Yeah.
YouTube at the time. And so now with YouTube and with my, you know, camera, we can just make, or my phone, I mean, we can just, you know, make short films and whatnot. And then I did actually have I had a web series, like back in, I can't remember now, but we had a web series
Uh,
called The Film Talk Show.
is
And
that the
that
comedy
was
one? The comedy web series?
It's a comedy web series. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Some people wouldn't call it a comedy, but it was definitely, we intended it to be a comedy. And
Um,
yeah.
and Kat McNew's a part of that, right?
Yeah. And that's how we met Kevin. You know,
How did you meet? How'd you meet her? Like, how that you guys meet to start that or to do
so
that?
that was also through music.
Hmm.
There was a band called the Never Never, who was also really good at the time. A guy named Seth, great guy, who had that band. And one of the guitarists in that band said that he was also an actor. We met them, we talked to them. Luis and I, when in Mango Napalm, we performed with them. And this actor, when the guitarist said like, "Hey, I'm also an actor," like, and I was like, "Hey, I have this talk show. Like, would love to have you on." And then he's like, "Hey, can I bring my girlfriend?" And I was like, "Oh, so lame. Like, this actor wants to bring his girlfriend, like, who's also an actress. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, bring her over." And that was Kat, and
Yeah.
she was like way funnier than, no offense, than he was.
Hmm.
Uh, and we just that's how we and then we started collaborating on other videos and stuff.
Yeah. No, she's great. We're we're a big fan of Kat,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm
I don't
glad
know
she.
how you can't be.
Yeah. Yeah, I invited some friends to watch sort of these pandemic streaming shows that you put on, and they're always
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, Kat's amazing." You know, it's like, who cares about the
Yeah.
music? Like, Kat's great.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, she needs to be in every video.
yeah. Uh, so let's talk about the doing these streaming pandemic shows. How did that idea come across, and how has it been?
um, you know, we were like, how do we really just wanted to do a Satan Fest. That
Hmm.
was really it. We were just like, God, we can't do a Satan Fest this year. So how else do we do it? I think it was a conversation Jorge and I had. I think it was both of us. We both thought of it. Um, we were like, let's just do it on, I think he was like, can we do it virtually? I'm like, let's do it on YouTube. I don't know, and it just kind of came from there. We just wanted another Satan Fest because we've been doing one every year since 2015, I think.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want some old pandemic to stop us. So that's how it happened.
But then you kept doing it. I kept doing it like
Yeah,
every 2 months or
yeah.
something.
Well, and then with everything going on with Black Lives Matter and everything like that, um, I was actually walking one night and I was thinking we were thinking about doing one for Halloween.
Mhm.
Anyway, like, oh, we should do another one because it was so fun. It was honestly one of the most fun things like I had that year was doing Satan Fest. I was so nervous too because it was so new and
Right.
it felt so good to do that. It was uh, to get all these different contact all these bands. Everyone was so like happy to do it,
Mhm.
which was great. No one was all like, "Oh, what is this?" Like, I was so fortunate to have like made all these like friends and connections with people that they were like willing enough to like send me a video. And Kat, of course, was down to be Satan. And funny enough, I felt like the year before that was like the perfect Satan Fest that we had had. That was we've been working on trying to get the best Satan Fest, and she was able to host it and actually say some jokes that time. And we had some really good bands, and we had a lot of people there, and it was like the best Satan Fest we had.
Mhm.
And I was so bummed when we weren't able to have one in 2020. So just that feeling, it was like, oh God, this was actually really great. And anyways, going back to the No Lives Matter, I don't know. I've always had that whenever Black Lives Matter comes up, there's this little kid inside me, that like little anarchy kid that's just like, actually no lives matter. Like you're all taking yourselves way too seriously, even though, I understand what the hashtag means. I
Yeah.
get it. I'm all for Black Lives Matter. I should say all that. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's that little like kid voice that's just like, ha, no lives matter. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to feed into that. I'm like, hey, let's do like a really like rock and roll, another show. I don't, it was just like, just had a dumb name.
Yeah. I always feel like some of these things are edgy. Even saying Satan Fest, if I tell my friends like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to be on
Yeah.
Satan Fest, you want to watch?" They're like, "What?" And I,
Yeah,
I really, I
exactly.
really enjoy that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
maybe,
Yeah, it's that edgy, that like that's why Kat in that show is like a 12-year-old who like thinks she's all like cool, and she's actually, you can kind of tell she's rich, you know.
yeah.
We just think it's funny.
And so is this the end of the streaming shows? Because it seems like, pandemic summer's winding down.
So no. So okay, so I thought of a new, you'll hear it here first. Um we have an idea for future shows, actually, that'll be a little different than what we've been doing, and we only have one idea right now. Maybe we'll have more ideas in the future. This next one we're going to do is going to be Satan Fest 2021 Mortal Kombat, a battle of the bands events. And so we're just going to have a bunch of bands like basically duel each other. I don't know how that's exactly going to work, but we're figuring it out right now.
A
We just
lot of
know we're going to call it Mortal Kombat, Battle of Fans Events.
Isn't there like a Mortal Kombat movie coming out too or something?
Yes, in April. Oh, and yeah, this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the idea came from, because I actually love that first movie. And I love the
What?
video game. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I really want to learn the song. So I started learning the song. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, oh, we should do this for something. And I was like, what if we had a Battle of the Bands event? So
Well, I always thought there should be a Battles of the Band live show where it's not really competing against each other, but you have to play a song from another band on the lineup.
oh, that's really fun.
I think that would be cool. And then
That'd
that's
be
also a
cool.
way, you'd see someone play your own song and just everyone would stick around to see it. Not that that's the ploy, but just be fun to learn somebody else's song and it's like a band you like.
That's really good. Oh, I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I
Um,
like that. Can we steal that idea?
you can absolutely steal it. Um, So there's so many things I want to ask you about. I'm trying to think which one should I. Okay, I want to ask about the animated series.
Oh, sure.
So did that come from the pandemic of like we want to still make things and be creative?
No,
Oh,
no.
really?
Yeah, no, that was way before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
I've always, from the beginning of Twisted Black Soul, well, not from the beginning, actually, when we moved into the house, um, 2016, I think, uh, it, we it I don't know, we just always felt like a show. We always wanted to do more with Twisted Black Soul than just like any sort of regular band, and
Hmm.
we thought that we should um, that it should be like that we wanted our own show, but it was going to be with all of us, like playing our parts and playing our characters, and we kind of do that. We all have our own characters that we are on stage, so we
Hmm.
already have that element. And then I would just always come up with stories and like tell them. And I had my idea for the pilot years ago,
Hmm.
about a record producer coming over and a vampire comes and eats the record producer. Oh, he was going to sign us, and like that was like going to be the first episode. And
Hmm.
so I always had that in the back of my head. And excuse me, and after a while, excuse me, Jorge and I sat down and we were like, we got to do something else with the band. This was like in 2019, I think.
Hmm.
Like what's next? I think we asked Luis and Noel were part of the band for a while, and we asked them to step down because we felt like we wanted to go in a different direction.
Hmm.
Um, at the moment, Luis was always on in the band just to like play whatever we wanted, like as a bass player. But we were like, oh, we think we want to go in a different direction. He's still down to play with us. Like if we need him for a show, he would still do that. Um, but for now, it's like we're just kind of taking that break, and we were like thinking, what else can we do? And we said, let's finally make that show. Ismail's an artist. I'm a editor, director, writer. Let's just finally work on that show together. And so we recorded the first episode in September of 2019.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he worked on the artwork for a long time.
Wow.
And then so once the pandemic, and we edited it together. We had the first episode done in May of 2020, and
Hmm.
we always wanted to release it in Halloween. And so we were trying to work on other episodes at the time. So it takes a long time to. That first episode was took a lot to figure it out. We had no idea how we were even going to do the animation.
Yeah.
We just kind of just figured it out as we went along. So it took a long time. Now it takes like a month to do an episode,
Wow.
so it took a lot longer. So yeah, so that was in development for a while. And that's what the first pilot is the first pilot I wrote. And then we just had so many stories from the past for like, well, we can he Jorge actually inspires me to be like, what about this event that we did? And we're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, let's write that story. And so I'll go write it out. And even though some of the stories seem like are or they are fake, or they're like, they don't take place in reality.
Hmm.
Some of the essence of the stories are actually real. I just kind of hide it all with like a bunch of other stuff going on.
Well, yeah, it's like really like the doll hut or the
Yeah,
five-star
yeah,
bar,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm sure there's like an ounce of truth that's sort of exaggerated or
yeah, exactly.
hidden in there, squeezed in there somewhere.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're doing the animation?
Yeah, yeah.
You should get like a little team behind you or
I
something.
want to. I don't know why I haven't. I will actually want to like. So I work at a university where we need interns,
Yeah.
and there are actually students and they need internships in order to graduate.
Hmm.
And sometimes they're like, hey, I don't have any internships. And so I need to do this. And I've been kind of bad at this, but I needed to start the business. Let's file it and say, like, hey, we're a business now. Like, okay, let's bring on these interns,
Yeah.
so they can help us out with this.
Yeah.
So
Free labor.
yeah, I mean, I do eventually want to pay them,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would definitely give them like, I don't know, $100 gift card at the end or something as like a thank you.
Yeah. What have you learned from doing it? I mean, it's because also in a sense you guys had to go from being musicians to story writers to being voice actors and to animators and
Yeah.
everything. It's a lot. It's like it's a lot to learn.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I took I've been editing uh, all the time. I always write, and I do dumb voices all the time, and so does Jorge. Jorge does a lot of dumb voices all the time too. So,
I just want to say I was listening
yeah,
to your SoundCloud today, and there was
yeah,
like La Llorona,
yeah, yeah,
where he was
yeah.
he was like I don't know if he was impersonating Morgan Freeman, but did not sound like Morgan Freeman. But he did a lot of voices in that.
Right, yeah, he did a lot of voices. We were always doing voices. Okay, you could do that, and direct, so I do my best to direct him and Kat on some of the dialogue.
Are
So
you
it
are you
yeah,
like meeting together and
yeah,
recording it? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Recently, we've been doing it like this. We're
Hmm.
on Zoom, and he'll record, and I'll direct him. Yeah, yeah. So it's all together. But during the pandemic, or during the when it got really crazy, during the last two episodes, I think, are all we all recorded it like this.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Let's see. I wanted to ask about the podcast.
Oh yeah,
Because the podcast has
podcast
been
one.
on like what, almost 3 years, two and some
No,
years?
I think it's been
It's over two
two,
years.
2 years. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah. What made you want to do a podcast? 'Cause-
I don't even know. You know what? I think it really no. It actually comes from meeting all these like bands, and like you only get so much time to talk to them. Like I think you and I, or you, Jane, and like TBS or Mango Napalm, we've been fortunate to like go out to dinner, or like I've been to your house. You've come over to
yeah.
our house. We've had dinner together. That was a little different. But like there's some bands where like I don't even know, like do you remember that, them?
Hmm.
I love those guys too, and I haven't had that chance to do that with them yet, and they just seem like such interesting guys. And it's hard to like have a conversation when like other bands are performing and we're at a bar, we're drinking. So I'm like, let me just sit down with these people one on one and have a conversation. And so that's how this kind of just came out.
Cool. But you're doing it pretty regularly.
I'm trying to now. Yeah, yeah. I stopped for a while, and now I'm back.
Um, so you have this film background. What made you want to do the animated series and not the Twisted Black Soul movie?
It was Ismail, so that we can
Oh, yeah,
use his chops he's a great artist,
yeah.
and he's always been drawing, Twisted Black Soul and different flyers and everything. So he had actually had different versions of how we would look like,
Hmm.
and we went with one version on one of our more recent like flyers for one of the last shows we played. We were like, yeah, let's go with that kind of artwork.
Hmm.
So
I,
that's where,
I like how Blake Dedlie like unzips very briefly and it's like an old man. It's,
yeah,
I like
all will be revealed about
that.
who these people are.
Um, okay, let's see. Are there any other, well, I was gonna ask if there's any other projects we should be expecting in the future. And if there will ever, if there's any plans for a Twisted Black Soul House again.
Probably Swiss Black Soul House, maybe in the far future.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, I have a beautiful girlfriend who I'm living with now, and
Oh,
we
cool.
actually want to move into a bigger place together.
Yeah.
My vision for the Twisted Black Soul House would actually be like once her and I are more established, like we would have like a back house. This is like in the, once we have like, this is a dream. Like
Hmm.
we would have like a back house where we would have musicians like come in, who maybe need a place to crash for a month, that need a meal or something,
Hmm.
that are trying to play gigs. That's actually that's what I wanted the TBS house to be, like kind of a sanctuary for musicians, coming to LA, and maybe bands that we like that thought that that just needed some sort of help, that
Yeah.
they get to crash at a place until they get their own place or whatever. So
Well, yeah, touring bands would always love to save
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
And
Or touring bands, exactly. Yeah, they can crash there in LA if they want to play shows, and so that would be my vision for the next TBS house.
yeah, yeah. Um, so is there anything you've ever wanted to talk about in a podcast, but you like never found the way in on one of your interviews? Like
And oh man, that's a good question. I don't.
it's like you ran out of time, or just like you had it in your mind and it like switched, or something like that.
I've had a bunch of those. I'm sure. I can't even remember any of those right now. I have the
Yeah.
worst memory. Um,
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
okay. I wanted to, I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this, but about any sort of religious beliefs. Because I know one time you
I
were
have
gonna,
no problem talking about that.
okay, I remember one time you were gonna come over and possibly record over here, and you'd wondered if it was okay if you brought, I don't know what it was. It was, I don't know if it was like pictures or little like items,
Yeah,
and I think I'm a pretty open-minded guy, and I thought like, yeah, sure. And then I was thinking like, am I bringing something weird here? I had to
yeah,
do like a double take just to make sure like it's fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And
no. I'm.
but that opened the door of just like, well,
What does he really? Yeah,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Well, I was born and raised Catholic, so again, I have that. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's that like that naive, um, like wannabe anarchist kid that actually that just lives inside me, and that's kind of where like I hated Catholic school. It was the worst.
Mhm.
Um,
You hated it even from the beginning?
oh yeah, I didn't have any friends growing up. I had zero friends, and thankfully I had my cousins, who we were very close. They're my brothers, and anyways, but I didn't have any friends there. I hated it, and I think I just associate that with like Catholicism in a sad way. Um, I don't know. I didn't like. Also, growing up, and I was actually a staunch Catholic for a long time. Um,
So then you did like
even in
Catholicism.
high school, yeah, I was super into it. That's
Hmm.
the crazy part. I was really into
Well,
it.
how could you be into it and not like it at the same time? That's why I
No,
wondered
I'm
where
sorry.
that
I'm
point was.
after. It's kind of coming back, thinking about it afterwards. I kind of associate bad feelings with the school. I should separate that, but for some reason I don't. This was after the fact. After high school, I kind of realized I was like, oh, all this is like bullshit. I was actually an atheist for a long time, and I would like argue with people for some reason, about like oh, your beliefs are dumb. And then now I'm kind of at a place where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Weird things have happened in my life that have been fortunate or weird, or random things have happened, and it's like, okay, maybe it's the universe, and people just call the universe God. So I kind of get it now. I'm definitely not atheist anymore. I'm just in the field of I don't know. And I just like that, being that rebellious kid. Rebellious is the word. The rebellious kid of being like, yeah, fucking Satan rules, um, because it's so different than what we were taught in Catholicism.
So you're not an atheist necessarily anymore, but are you a something?
No, actually, yes, no, yes, I am. I really, I don't care how this sounds. I really believe in the power of rock and roll. I am not even joking. I feel like I have given my life to rock and roll, and it has given back. Like
Is
I
that
was
a
able to.
is that a
Hmm?
Huey Lewis song or something?
I don't know, maybe. But I I'm not calling it a religion of mine, but I have, like, when I give myself to rock and roll, like I was able to have that house for 3 years,
Mhm.
which was great. I've been able to meet so many. It wasn't until I took music seriously and started performing with Luis and Mango Napalm, I felt like my life opened up.
Mhm.
Like it was very closed then, and I didn't. I mean, I had friends, but they weren't the. I mean, they were all into things that I just wasn't really that into.
Yeah.
And when I started to become a musician, like fully, and taking it seriously and playing gigs and like trying to learn, chords, and trying to be better at guitar, or even trying to be better at drums, I was like, okay, really actually practicing and hunkering down and doing all that stuff. Like I've had gifts come into my life. So that's why it's like I believe in rock and roll.
I
have
never
a
I
living
never
music.
I never thought of it that way, but I would agree with you. Just like all of my friends are musicians and through that musical sort of community,
Hmm.
and like there's definitely weird sort of spiritual moments of, you get in the zone when you write a song or you're
Yeah.
playing a show, you're jamming with people. It could be sort of like a higher sort of your mind's gone and you're just into it, into the
Yes.
moment,
Yeah.
so there's
Did
definitely something there.
Did you ever see Soul?
Oh, the one that just came out?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh man, check it out. It was. I thought it was okay. People loved it, but there's a scene where um, the soul goes into a different plane of existence, and like people who are um, like really in the zone, like a dancer or a basketball player, when they're in that zone, you can like see them in that like that era of existence. Like they enter that area for a brief moment in time, and that's happened with music. That like sort of I call it a surfer's high. I guess like when you're surfing, I've heard the phrase like when surfers go and
Yeah.
they have like a great wave and they're just like they're on a completely everything slows down, everything is stopped, and apparently that is like you at your most um that oh excuse me, I thought
How
I
about you
thought
at your
I
most natural?
at your most natural, your most true self.
Mhm.
um and yeah, so and I've had those moments playing music where I remember one time, I think it was the first time it happened, I was playing music and I was like, why are we playing so slow? And then
Mhm.
everything went back faster. I was like, whoa, like that was nuts.
Yeah. And it's something that's more spiritual than adrenaline because I felt
Yeah.
adrenaline at shows.
Adrenaline, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I felt the surfer high, and I think Jane feels that all the time because she surfs pretty often.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I can't tell from the hourglass, but I think we're cutting it pretty close.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I want to say thank you for letting me interview you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you for doing this. This was a lot of fun. I feel weird talking about myself, even
Why?
though I don't
You
know.
talk all the time
I
in your
know
in your
exactly,
podcast.
but it's so weird. I
Yeah.
know. And what's sad is that I'll catch. This is weird. I'll catch myself doing it because I get really excited about something, and I'll be like, anyway, it's back to you.
Yeah, I was thinking, I got to make sure not to talk about my band. I mean, there's certain things I could talk about, but I'm like, I just want to focus it on you.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it's funny enough. I was like, I actually wanted to. Um, this will be the only one like this because it's a special interview. I like the idea of having three people on a podcast now.
Mhm.
Even if I'm interviewing one person, at least have like another person there, just to have it be fun. So I was thinking if you and Jane would want to do it one day. If Jane doesn't want to, maybe I can bring either like Ismail or Luis or Kat, and we can interview you. Maybe
Yeah,
we can just have.
yeah, that would be cool. I'm done with that.
Cool, man. Well, or maybe you could be like
I could be a semi wingman.
a
Yeah.
wingman exactly when we're interviewing somebody else.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
cool.
cool.
All right, well, have a good Easter
Well,
Sunday
thanks,
tomorrow.
man.